Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. If there is one thing in common in this world that all living beings search for, that is the happiness. We all like to be happy. We all seek happiness in this world. If I ask from you, would you like to be happy in your life? What will be your answer? You will say, of course, I want to be happy in my life. I want this peaceful state. I need to be in that. That is your answer. That is the answer of all living beings. Buddha says that all living beings likes to be happy and they seek the happiness. If you really think about our life, we are in a never-ending journey of pursuing happiness. Let me tell that again. We are in a never-ending journey of pursuing happiness. That means we are pursuing happiness, we are chasing and we are seeking for happiness, but yet we have not found it. So, what is the reason for this not finding happiness? Why we don't find happiness in our life? We are seeking it, we are finding for it, but we don't find it. What is the reason? Well, the Buddha teaches us that we are finding or we are seeking this happiness from a source that the happiness does not exist. Because we are seeking happiness from external world. We are seeking happiness from these materialistic things. Well, when you seek happiness from materialistic things or external world, you get pleasure, but that is not happiness. Pleasure is something temporary and it gives you this instant gratification. But in happiness, the happiness is long-lasting and it gives you this happiness or the contentment about yourself. So that is why Buddha teaches us that you're finding the happiness from a source where the happiness does not exist. So the more you find it, the more you become frustrated. So, will we ever be able to find happiness in our life? The Buddha answers this question. He says, yes, you can find happiness in your life. How to do that? If you look closely to the first and the second verses of Dhammapada, Buddha says, if one with an impure mind speaks or acts, the suffering will follow him like a cartwheel following the ox. If with an impure mind one speaks or acts, the suffering will follow him. And in the next verse, Buddha says, if with a pure mind one speaks or acts, the happiness will follow him like a shadow following a man. So that means the happiness and the sadness entirely depends on the purity and the impurity of our mind. When our mind is pure, we can find the happiness. So, how can we find or how can we gain this purity in our mind in order to find the happiness? Well, Buddha teaches us there are a lot of things that you can do to make your mind pure. So today, I'm going to share with you a few things that can give you the happiness in your life, that you can find the happiness in your life. First thing, accepting the reality of life will give you the happiness. You know, life is full of ups and downs. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes we have bad days, sometimes we have beautiful memories, sometimes we also have miserable memories. So life is not something that is going equally every day. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. When you realize this reality, you can face these situations successfully. Right? It is not always this bad experience makes us frustrated. It is our reaction towards this bad experience makes us frustrated. Whenever you get a bad experience or a bad day or a bad situation, tough situation, difficult situation, you have two choices. Either you can focus on the pain and feel miserable about that situation, or you can focus on the lesson that bad situation teaches us and learn from it and start growing your life. So, if you accept the reality of life, it is not temporary. Sometimes the people around us are not in our control. We cannot control their reactions. We cannot control their opinions. So when you realize these situations, you can face those situations successfully. That is one thing, accepting reality of the life. Number 2, Buddha said, be generous. Practicing generosity is a major practice in Buddhism. Well, in Buddhism, the generosity is known as Dharma. In Dharma, Buddha says that you have to give without any expectations. We have to give and we have to dedicate towards others without expecting anything in return. That is one thing that we have to practice. Most of the time, we like to hold on to things or gather the things towards us. That is what people think. When you gather more, when you collect more things, you will get rich and you will gain happiness. But that does not give you the happiness. It will give you the pleasure, but it is temporary. So what we have to do, Buddha says, be generous, give, help others, dedicate a part of your life on behalf of others. When you do that, when you become more generous, let's say like this, you gave some foods to a poor person, let's say like that. When you see that person is having those foods and overcoming his hunger and making his life much better, you can be happy by seeing that. When you become happy like that, you feel happy about yourself, right? Nothing can give you that happiness. Like by eating a good food, by dressing a nice dress, you cannot gain that happiness. You don't feel happy about yourself, right? Let's say after hundred of years later, maybe 10 decades later, when you think about that incident, I gave this food to this poor person. When you remind that, you feel happy. Even then you feel happy. That means happiness is long-lasting. So Buddha says, be generous, help people, do something nice every day for a person. That is one thing we can do. And number 3, forgiving. Forgiving is one of the most important things that we can do to create happiness in our life. We have to forgive ourselves. Also, we have to forgive others too. Because forgiving, when you forgive, it doesn't mean that you are saying okay to others' mistakes. It's okay. No, you're not saying like that. When you forgive, you make your heart free. So when you forgive, it's not for that person, it is for you. And also we have to forgive for ourselves. There are so many mistakes that we all have done in the past. If you hold on to past, and if you make this present moment miserable, that will not give you the happiness. So what do we have to do? Whatever the bad thing that we have done in the past, we have to have this ability to forgive ourselves and start all over again. We all have that ability, right? We all have that privilege to start our life again and make it a better one. Okay? So no one is perfect in this world. We all have done mistakes. One thing that we have to do is to forgive and start doing good things. So these are 5 things that we can do to create happiness in our life. And also, there is one happiness that is called the ultimate happiness in this world that the Buddha teaches us. That is called Nibbana or Nirvana. That is the enlightenment. When you realize about the reality of this life, and when you remove this desire or the craving that arises within your mind, then Buddha says that is the ultimate happiness. Simply, the Nibbana means Ragakkayo, Dosakkayo, Mohakkayo, Nibbana. That means removing of the desire, anger, and the delusion of the mind is called the enlightenment. So that is the highest level of happiness that we all can reach. So when you practice these practices, right, when you engage yourself in wholesome state, that will create you the happiness in the life. So practice these things and make your life a happier one. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips that you can practice to build up a strong mindset. Tip number 1 is to maintain a stable mindset in ups and downs in life, right? You know, life is like an ocean. Sometimes ocean is calm and quiet and peaceful, and sometimes it is stormy, right? We face ups and downs in life. The Buddha said these are called 8 worldly conditions, Attaloka Dhamma. That means praise and blame, gain and loss, fame and disgrace, and pleasure and pain. These are the 8 worldly conditions that we face in our life. Remember these things. So Buddha said, accept these ups and downs in life. Whenever people criticize you, whenever people blame you, whenever you go through tough times in your life, if you can be mindful about your mind and your emotions and your feelings, and not to chase after these emotions and feelings, then you can be more stable in these situations. You can maintain a good emotional balance in these situations. So it is very important to be mindful and to practice the self-awareness in these situations. And also remember, you will not be able to always get the sweet comments and sweet opinions and sweet experiences in your life. Life will give tough times to you. Life will throw lemons at you. So you have to maintain a stable mindset whenever you go through these situations by practicing the mindfulness and the self-awareness. Remember that. Tip number 2 is to build the resilience inside the mind. You know, the resilience means the ability to stand up and bounce back when you go through the adversities and when you go through the challenging situations in your life. To practice this, one thing that you have to know and one thing that you have to understand is that what is in your control and what is not in your control. If you have a good understanding about what is in my control in my life and what is not in my control in my life, right? For an example, if people comes up to you and if they're starting to criticize you, those criticisms, those words that other people speaks about you is not under your control. But what is in your control is your reaction to them. It is always a choice. You can think about this like, should I become angry with this? Should I take this negativity? Should I share this negativity with them and be negative as them? If you can question like that, then you're not ready to take that negativity. And also remember, having a strong mindset does not mean that you're falling down and you're feeling hurt and you're feeling down. Having a strong mindset means you can stand up as soon as possible when you go through these tough situations. You can quickly stand up and you can quickly retrieve back to the normal situations in your life. That is called the resilience. So to practice this, you have to have a good understanding about what is in your control in your life and what is not in your control. The experiences happens to you, and the things that people say to you, other people's opinions, other people's thoughts about you is not under your control. But all the things that is inside your mind, your opinions about them, your reaction to those experiences, totally under your control. So if something is not under your control, you don't want to worry about it because you cannot make any change about it. But if something is under your control, definitely you can make a change about it. You can change your choice, but not others. So remember that. And also you have to cultivate a problem-solving mindset. If you're easily panicked by the problems, or if you're easily triggered by the problems, then it is not easy to solve the problems, right? But if you can maintain a calm and a peaceful mindset, even when you go through the problems or tough situations in your life, then it is very easy to go into the roots and solve the problems. Sometimes we take the problems as ourselves. Like we think, we are the anger, I am this problem, why is this happening to me, right? Remember, everything that happens to you will be impermanent. It is not a permanent thing, right? It will be changed one day. So what do you have to do? Keep that problem aside and try to dive into the roots of that problem. Ask from yourself, why this thing happened to me, right? What is the reason for this, right? What is the real reason for this? Where did I make the mistakes? And go to that problem, go to the root, and then you can solve that problem. That is how you build up a problem-solving mindset. And finally, tip number 3, last but not least, you have to practice a mindset of self-love and self-compassion. Remember, if you're loving yourself, if you truly love yourself, you're not going to take other people's negativity with you, right? You're not ready to take other people's negativity with you. Whatever the thing that comes up to you, whatever the person comes up to you and like bring their negativity with you, you say, well, I'm not going to take this negativity with me. I want to be peaceful. I want to love myself. I truly love myself. Therefore, I'm not ready to take your negativity. I'm not sharing this negativity with you. That is called self-love and self-compassion, right? To practice this, you can add up a simple practice that you can do it daily, right? When you get up early in the morning, just sit on your bed and think, no matter what happens during the day, I am going to love myself. I'm not going to take any negativity from this world, right? I'm going to empty my bin and I'm going to take a new bin to this world, right? Do you know if you've kept all the bad things and trash in your bin for a long time, what will happen? If you're in your trash bin, it will start to smell, no? But if you remove every single day all the trash in your bin and make it make it a clean place, then it's very easy to live. It's very easy to be peaceful within. So practice the self-compassion and self-love to build a strong mindset. Some people think that the people who are easily lose their temper, some people think that people who show their toughness and rudeness, they have this strong mindset. But no, anger and showing this negativity is not a sign of strength. It's a sign of weakness, right? If you are easily triggered by people, if you're easily triggered by the people's reactions, then it's not a strong mindset. The strong mindset is the mindset that is not disturbed by the ups and downs in your life. So practice these simple steps, right? Build a stable mindset, make your mind a resilient one, and finally, love yourself more than any other person in this world. When you practice these steps, you can build up a mindset that is unshaken by the ups and downs in your life. So I wish you all, may all of you find the happiness in your life. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. The words that we speak have a great power. Remember, words can make people as well as the words can break people. Therefore, our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, advised us to speak always the nice words. Supreme Buddha advised us, you should not speak harsh words. Supreme Buddha said, Mavocha parusang kanchi. Do not speak harsh words. Why? If you speak harsh words, you will be spoken harshly by someone one day as a result of that action. That is the law of karma. Supreme Buddha said, Dukkahi sarambhakatha. The harsh speech, rude words, angry words is a suffering for everyone. If you speak harsh words, you will be spoken harshly one day. That is the result of those actions. So that is why our great teacher Supreme Buddha advised us to always speak nice and gentle words. Because no one in this world would like to be spoken by anyone harshly. No one likes to listen angry words. No one likes to be scolded by someone. Sometimes in life, we may think to solve the problems, to deal with arguments, we need to be angry. We need to be stubborn. We need to speak harsh words and we need to hurt others in order to control others. But that is wrong. Remember, our great teacher Supreme Buddha advised us the best way to control the people, best way to win the hearts of the people, win the trust of the people, the best way to deal with the arguments is to use the kind words. The perfect example for controlling people with kindness is our great teacher Supreme Buddha. Supreme Buddha never used harsh words, angry words to control people, to tame people. Supreme Buddha used the kindness, compassion, loving and pleasurable words to speak with people. That is why millions and millions of people loved the Supreme Buddha in the Buddha's time. They loved to listen to the Supreme Buddha's words. They trusted the Supreme Buddha's words because it was very nice. It was kind. It was gentle and it was healing like cool water. So, when we are dealing with our life problems, when we are dealing with people who are very toxic, when we are dealing with arguments, remember, you should watch what you are speaking. You should give a big concern about the words that you speak. Because words are like a weapon. It's like a knife. Now, when we take the knife, we can use the knife in order to do something good as a useful thing. Right? We can use the knife to cut vegetables and cut useful things. And also, knife can be used to kill a person. So words are like that. Words can heal the broken hearts of the people, as well as words can break the hearts of people. Sometimes words can lead someone's life to the death. So that is why Supreme Buddha said, never speak harsh words, rude words, angry words. If you speak angry words, what is the result? You will be spoken angrily and you will get hurt by the same words one day by someone else. So as the result of that action, according to the law of that karma, you're going to go through a hard time one day. So remember, when you speak the words, you have to think about what you are speaking. Supreme Buddha advised us that you should not speak all the things, all the thoughts that comes to your mind. Normally, people don't think about the thoughts that pop up in their mind, right? Supreme Buddha advised us that when a thought arises in your mind, you have to consider about that thought, whether this thought is good or bad. Whether this thought is going to hurt someone else, or is this thought is going to hurt myself. So if it is an evil thought, Supreme Buddha said, you should abandon that. You should not act upon that thought. You should not speak with those thoughts. That is why Supreme Buddha said, Manasache paduttena bhasativa karotiva. If with an impure mind, if one acts or speaks, Supreme Buddha said, the suffering will surely follow him like the cart wheel that follows the ox. So, dear devotees, you need to think twice before you speak. You need to give a big concern to what you speak. When you are speaking a word, always let those words to go through these 3 filters. Now, normally, people use filters to filter out the bad things from something good. So you need to flow your words through these 3 filters before you speak. So what are those 3 filters? Remember, before you speak any words, always think, is this word is a lie or a true? So when you think that, you can stop lying. So that is the first filter. And the second filter is, before you speak anything, always think, are these words are going to hurt anyone? Then you can stop the rude words that you are speaking. And the third filter is, always think, are these words are useful or not? Then you can stop the useless words that you are speaking with your mouth. So let your words to flow through these 3 filters. Then your words will be pure, right? If you speak gentle and nice and true words, everyone will like you. Everyone will like to be with you because everyone likes to listen to nice words. Everyone likes to be with people who speak nicely. So always speak gentle and nice words. Never speak harsh words to anyone. Remember, words can make people and words can break people. Namo Buddhaya, Teruvan Saranai. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about something really important for all of our lives, especially in these days, and that is the things that we should not speak with others, according to Buddha's teachings. Now, at first, you might be thinking, well, I'm not a Buddhist, so why should I care about these things? Here's the thing. These principles can be applied to anyone's life, regardless of their religion or belief system. So that is why these speeches are called 4 unwholesome speeches. That is what Buddha said about these speeches, 4 unwholesome speeches. So without any further ado, let's dive in. First of all, we have lying. Now Buddha said, stay away from lying. Now I know we all have said white lies here and there in all of our lives, right? But whether it is a white lie, whether it is a black lie, gray lie, or a red lie, no matter what the lie is, lying itself can be so harmful for all of our lives. Why is that? When you lie, it destroys your trust. When you lie, it destroys your character, right? So that is why it is very important to have trust between people. In our daily relationships between people, the most important component of a happy relationship is the trust. So that is why Buddha said, live a truthful life. And it is very important to have that transparency and honesty in our relationships. So the first thing that we have to stay away from is lying. And next we have divisive speech. What do you mean by divisive speech? Divisive speech is all about creating drama between people or creating conflicts between people using your words, right? It can be gossiping or it can be talking behind someone's back, right? I must say that when you talk these words or when you use this divisive speech, it is not a good thing for your life. And also it is not a good thing for other people's relationships. So Buddha said, do not use this divisive speech. Do not break the relationships between people using your words. Most of the time, we use the divisive speech out of jealousy or out of anger. So that is why it's very important to stay away from divisive speech. And the third one is, Buddha said, stay away from harsh speech. Now, when someone is calling you or when someone is treating you with rude words, how do you feel? Now, we all have been in this receiving end of such speeches, no? How did you feel? We felt sad. We felt depressed. We felt down about ourselves. So that is why Buddha said, do not use your words to put someone down, right? Do not use your words out of anger. This is all about criticizing and name calling and putting someone else down with your words, right? So Buddha said, stay away from harsh speech. And finally, Buddha said, stay away from idle chatter. What do you mean by idle chatter? Idle chatter is all about speaking meaningless or useless things, right? Now, that doesn't say that we cannot have a small chat or a fun talk with people. We can do that, but we have to know where our limit is in our speech, right? We have to set the boundaries in our speech, right? We have to know where our speech become unproductive, right? When you use these words, when you use your words in a meaningful way, you can create a positive life. And you can create a positive emotions or positive feelings in others' lives too, right? So these are the 4 unwholesome speeches that we have to stay away from, that our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us according to the Buddha's teachings, right? So why all these things matter? Why these unwholesome speeches matter in our life? Well, Buddha said, the words that we speak can create either positive or negative karma in our life. Do not think lightly about this karma, right? You have to be very careful about the karma. So the intention behind your words really matters in your life. And that is why we have to use our words wisely, because it can make a huge impact in our lives as well as in others' lives too. So words that we speak are like a knife, right? You can use the knife to cut something useful, right? And also you can use the knife to kill someone else. So let's use our words to create a better life for ourselves and for others. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you got some food for thought for your life. So until next time, I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you live in peace forever. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, let's talk about how to control our negative emotions and how to control our mind. Well, The nature of our mind is it always likes to wander in negative emotions and negative thoughts. Negative thoughts like anger, desire, or lust, or then jealousy, maybe resentment. These are the negative thoughts that our mind likes to wander in. So how can we control it? Well, our great teacher Supreme Buddha introduced us a gradual training where you can practice this controlling of negative emotions or negative thoughts in your mind. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce them to you. So first and foremost, before getting into these steps, there is one thing that you have to practice, and there is one thing that you have to master, and that is awareness. If you are not aware of what you're thinking, if you are not mindful about what you're thinking, then you cannot control it. So you have to totally understand and you have to totally be aware of what you're thinking. Okay? So whenever you become aware of what you're thinking, then you will have that power to control it. So here comes the first step. Buddha says, whenever you become aware of your mind is wandering in negative thoughts like anger or lustful thoughts or resentment or jealousy, the first thing is to shift your thought pattern to something wholesome. There are some wholesome thoughts in your mind which makes you peaceful. Maybe like thinking of something that you have done in the past, like maybe you helped someone. Whenever you think that thought, your mind becomes happy and peaceful. So what you're going to do is, whenever you become aware of your negative thoughts, we're going to shift our thought pattern to something that is wholesome, something that makes us peaceful. So that is the first thing that Buddha says. Shift your thoughts to wholesome thoughts. If that first step did not work out, then what you have to do, go for the next step. What is that? Buddha says, think about the disadvantages of thinking negative emotions, right? If you are constantly having angry thoughts, then you have to think, these thoughts are hurting myself and others. If I take actions according to these thoughts, it will hurt myself and the others. Remember, it may be a little thought of anger, but if it grow up, what will happen? It will be destructive. So what do you have to do? Think about the drawbacks or disadvantages of thinking these negative thoughts. Then, whenever you see these disadvantages, your mind will tend to stay away from these negative thoughts. Most of the time, we are not aware of these disadvantages. Okay? So what do you have to do? Think, if I keep on thinking these negative thoughts, it is not going to help me. It will disrupt my peacefulness. Right? That is the second step. Then as the third step, Buddha says, pay no mind, pay no attention. If the second step did not work out, go for the third step, to not to pay any attention to that thought, right? See, whenever we give so much attention to something, maybe a thought, it grows again and again, it grows more, right? For an example, if you became angry with someone and if you keep thinking about him again and again and becoming angry, that anger will grow more and more. So what do you have to do? We have to let the thought be a thought without paying much attention, right? When you just stay away from giving attention, then it will fade away from your mind. It's something like this. Have you seen little babies, when they fall down, they start to cry, right? If the parent or the mother or father see that it is not a big deal of falling, if mother or father did not give any attention to that baby, what does he do? He just don't care about that. He will stop crying. Same thing goes with our mind. If we did not pay any attention to that thought, right? If we did not care about that thought and just let it go and let it pass away from our mind, then it will fade away. That is one way of doing that. If the third step did not work for you, then the Buddha says, go for the fourth step, to relax your thought process, right? Now remember, When you think negative thoughts, your mind becomes so much busy, so much rough and distracted. So, what you're going to do is, you're thinking, why am I thinking these distractive thoughts, these negative thoughts that are making me so much busy and making me distracted, right? So what you're going to do is, you're relaxing your thought process to something very soft and subtle. Maybe like loving kindness, maybe like compassion, right? Maybe like gratefulness. When you think those thoughts, when you think more positive thoughts, your mind or your thought process becomes so much relaxed. And then if the fourth step did not work for you, then it comes the final step. This is something that we have to do with a great care. I do not recommend for everyone to do this. This should be done with a great experience and a good practice, right? And that is to crush your thought with awareness, right? You have to be totally aware of your thinking pattern and have a good determination to your mind that I am not going to think these negative thoughts, right? But this should not be done by everyone, right? Some may be not good at this, right? If you keep on becoming aware and if you keep on forcing this mind, it will grow more and more these negative thoughts. So if all those 4 steps did not work for you, then you have to go for the final step, right? So it is much better to practice these 4 thoughts before doing the final one. Okay, so practice these things. When you practice, you will feel and you will understand that your negative emotions are fading away little by little. Remember, this is not going to happen overnight. It will take a long time to do this, but you have to keep on practicing. Keep on doing it. Make it a habit, and then you will become a master of it. So practice this practice and make your mind a place where free from negative thoughts. Namo Buddhaya.